Do you know who died first, Adam or Eva? Discover the truth. Hello guys, welcome to our channel. Today we will talk about one of the most intriguing mysteries of the Bible. Who died first, Adam or Eve? Get ready for a surprising story full of twists. Adam and Eve were created by God in the Garden of Eden, a paradisiacal place full of beauty and harmony. Adam, the first man, was formed from the dust of the earth by God and received life through divine breath. Eva, the first woman, was raised from an Adam's rib to be her mate. Together they enjoyed perfect communion with God and the lush nature of the garden, where they could walk freely in the middle of the leafy trees and the crystalline rivers. God created the Garden of Eden as a perfect place for Adam and Eve, full of fruit trees and crystal clear rivers. In the center of the garden, there was the tree of knowledge of good and evil, whose fruit was forbidden. God gave Adam and Eve free will, allowing them to enjoy all the wonders of Eden, except for the fruit of that specific tree. They could hear the soft sound of the leaves in the wind and feel the scent of flowers that adorned the garden. The relationship between Adam, Eve, and God was of proximity and confidence, but temptation was always present in the form of that forbidden tree.
The snake, cunning and deceiving, approached Eva as she walked through the Garden of Eden. With her forked tongue and penetrating eyes, the serpent has been tempting words in Eve's ear, questioning the divine prohibition of eating the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Eve, influenced by the snake and the promise of becoming as God in proving the forbidden fruit, gave in to temptation and reaped the fruit. She felt her sweet and sinful flavor drip by her throat, bringing with her awareness of disobedience and the separation of God. Parvenons aussi to see a particular series of events that would forever change the history of humanity. After Eva gives in to temptation and eating the forbidden fruit, she sought Adam to share her discovery. Seeing Eva eating the fruit, Adam was perplexed and felt a mixture of curiosity and fear. He knew that this was forbidden by God, but Eve's influence on him was stronger. Adam also decides to eat from the fruit, feeling a bitter taste of disobedience mixed with the sense of having his conscience awakens for good and evil. At that base point, both realize that they are naked and are ashamed of their nudity, covering themselves with fig leaves in a symbolic gesture of trying to hide their guilt before God. God, in his righteousness and mercy, realizing the disobedience of Adam and Eve as they eat the forbidden fruit, decides to act. With regret, he calls them to a conversation in the Garden of Eden.
In confronting them about what they did, Adam and Eve feel the weight of guilt and shame for disobeying their order. God, in his infinite wisdom, pronounces the consequences of his actions, the expulsion of the Garden of Eden. With tears in his eyes, Adam and Eve are led out of paradise that once called home. Eden's gate closes behind them, leaving them before an unknown and challenged world. God's separation is the greatest punishment they could receive, but it is also a constant reminder of divine love and grace. Adam lived 930 years in Eden's garden alongside Eve, enjoying the perfect communion with God and the lush nature around him. During this time, he cultivated the fertile ground of the garden, taking care of the plants and the animals that inhabited there. Adam also named all living creatures, revealing his authority and mastery over God's creation. In addition, he shared moments of intimacy and companionship with Eve, strengthening the bond that united them as the first human beings created by God. Adam's life in the Garden of Eden was marked by harmony peace, and constant presence of the Creator at every moment of his daily life. Cain and Abel, children of Adam and Eve, grew up in the Garden of Eden under the shadow of the original tragedy of their parents' disobedience.
In offering God's sacrifices, Abel presented a lamb without defect as offer, while Cain brought fruit from the countryside. The divine preference for Abel's sacrifice lit the flame of envy in Cain's heart, leading him to commit the most terrible act to kill his own brother out of jealousy. Abel's innocent blood cried out for justice before God, whom Eve, the first woman created by God, played a key role in the history of humanity. Its creation from an Adam's rib symbolizes equality and complementarity between men and women. Eve was endowed with beauty, intelligence, and wisdom, being a faithful and loving companion for Adam.
She shared the same mastery over divine creation and enjoyed the perfect communion with God in the Garden of Eden. However, in giving in to the temptation of the serpent and eating the forbidden fruit, Eve triggered a series of events that would change the course of history. His courage to face the consequences of his actions and his search for redemption demonstrate female strength and resilience in the face of adversities. Eve is remembered as the mother of all mankind, an emblematic figure who teaches us about the power of repentance, hope, and faith on the journey of life. After the expulsion of the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve faced the challenges of living in a world marked by sin and the separation of God. They had to learn to cultivate the earth with effort and sweat, facing the hardness of the soil and the weather of nature. Adam saw his children grow and multiply, forming families and communities around the world. He taught them about the importance of faith, obedience, and forgiveness, conveying the values received from God in Eden. Over the years, Adam witnessed the consequences of original sin manifesting himself in violence, injustice, and pain that plagued humanity. Even so, he never lost hope in the divine promise of redemption and salvation.
Adan, city. Adam left this earthly life to meet his Creator, leaving a legacy of faith and perseverance for future generations. After the death, Eva faced the loneliness and longing for his companion for so many years. She saw her children multiply, forming families and communities around the world, but always carrying the memory of Eden and the separation of God. Eveni queres resuales to convey the teachings received in paradise to her descendants, reminding them of the importance of faith, hope, and love. She lived a long, challenging life, witnessing the consequences of original sin manifesting itself in humanity. Even in the face of adversities, Eva never lost confidence in the divine promise of redemption and salvation.
At the end of his days, surrounded by the sake of his family and the grace of God, Eve departed from this earthly life in peace, leaving an eternal legacy of courage and faith to future generations. Did you like this amazing story? Leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell so you don't miss any video. I hope you enjoyed unraveling this biblical mystery to us. Stay tuned to more unmissable content about Bible stories. Until next time. Until next time.